Hi guys, I am here at the Woodrows warehouse. So, as you can see behind me, there's quite a few different barrels, but we're not in the massive kind of dunnage warehouses that you see at some distilleries, because of course, Woodrows is an independent bottler. So, what we're doing today is having a chat with Megan, one of the owners, and basically seeing what happens in a smaller warehouse like this and how independent bottlers look at their cask management policies. So, without further ado, time to go have a chat.
So Woodrows itself as a brand is only, 3 years old now, so we launched in July of 2022.
Yeah, I think, as I said, you've not been around a huge amount of time in terms of your own label, but certainly starting to see a lot more presence at kind of shows and like online as well with a lot of the retailers out there. So you're clearly getting the bottles out there and the reception's been pretty good. But we've got some empty casks here in the warehouse. These are these are from your most recent releases, right?
Exactly. So we have our Tamdu here. This one was done in Pedro Jimenez European oak quarter cask.
Nice.
So we actually have the sister cask over there, because what we had is we had one cask, it was a hogshead, so 250 litres. We broke it down maybe 3 years ago. One into European oak Pedro Jimenez and the other into American oak Pedro Jimenez.
Nice.
So when we did a release a couple of weeks ago, we tasted them both with the idea of vatting them back together again.
Okay.
But the American oak just wasn't quite ready yet. So instead we decided to just put it out on its own. We think the main reason for that is because European oak is a bit more porous.
Yeah.
So for that reason it oxidized a bit better and kind of ended up a bit sweeter and a bit better.
Yeah.
The other one I think is going to be really good when it's ready, but it's just not ready yet. But we did a similar thing with our Pen Caitland. So again, this one's similar. We had one hogshead. It came in at 5 years old. It wasn't quite ready yet. It was needing a little bit of a boost. It had a good backbone and we thought we could do some good stuff with it, but we decided to work with it a little bit more. So instead of the European oak and American oak, this one is Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso, both American oak.
Nice.
And they were in these for 5 years, which is quite a long time for a quarter cask.
Yeah,
usually quarter cask finishes like 1 year, 2 years. But we did try it a couple of years ago, it wasn't ready yet, so we had to be very patient. It wasn't anything to do with the casks being slow maturing. I think it was just the spirit and the cask just needed a bit of time to marry.
And let's talk a little bit about re-racking. Obviously, your total number of casks you've got under ownership is far more than we've got over here on the shelves. So the casks you've got here, you're often bringing them here to do the re-racking, the tasting, the bottling, the blending, etc., right? Do you want to talk us just about through that kind of process, how you work with that, how you look at your re-racking of casks, etc.?
Yeah, so when we buy the casks, we only really see it on a spreadsheet.
Yep.
And it's down to the costs, things like the re-gauged litre of alcohol, things like that. So we decide if it's a good deal or not, rather than flavour based.
Yep.
Once we buy it, depends on the warehouse. Usually we're allowed to store it there for a bit longer, so we will get a sample drawn and we'll taste it then. And that's when we decide what to do with it. Unfortunately, because we do own about 400 to 500 casks now, I haven't actually sampled everything. But yeah, the ones we do sample, we decide what to do with it. Some of them are fine. We think that, don't fix what's not broken.
Yep.
It just needs a bit more time and it's in the right cask. Other ones we'll bring here to re-rack into something that we think we can make it better with. So these are all our stuff that we have sort of worked with.
Yeah.
So a lot of the casks in here are not in their original cask. There are things that we've put into, maybe like decided that a quarter cask would work with it. As we're known for playing around with blood tubs. We like to play with the blood tubs. So they're all over there. We have, sherry casks, brandy casks, port casks.
You name it.
Yeah.
You've got it, right? Should we have a quick look at some of the stuff that's on the shelves?
Of course.
What have we got?
Here we've got a Glenelgin in a first fill Pedro Jimenez quarter cask.
Yeah.
We do like to play with quarter casks because I think for us, we just tend to find that we get to play a bit more. So if you have one hogshead, we can break it down into 2 quarter casks and we can like contrast and compare and It's just something that we like to do, but that's just a Woodrows thing. It's just something we enjoy doing.
Yeah, it was interesting when you were talking about the tamdu and how you were potentially looking at the vatting them back together. My original thought when you said you split them is you were going to kind of release, here's the American oak version, and here's the European oak version, you know, side by side, you can taste what the difference is in terms of like maturation types.
Yeah, that's true. We have thought about doing that, and we have done like, I don't know if you've seen our little Kalila kits where we did the 8 different blood tubs, and they were all from one cask.
Yeah.
And they were all bottled separately and sold as a kit, so you can contrast and compare them. But we find that these kind of things are a bit of a harder sell to retailers. They want just a simple, like, someone likes it, they buy it.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to convince someone to buy 2 bottles of something. This one is one of my favourites. I'm a big fan of Glenord.
Nice, yeah.
This one is actually in its original cask. We used this for our warehouse blend.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, we blend that. We've done 2 batches and they've all been used with Campbelltown malt.
Yeah.
We've done Glenord, Glen Elgin, and what's the other one? Orkney.
Oh, nice, okay. That's
that we've been using these same components, so this is that cask here. So we've still got a fair bit to go. We have finished the Campbelltown though, because we released that last year, but we had done the blends in advance. So, but we're keeping this for blending. I was trying to convince Woody to release it as this because I really like it, because I'm a big fan of Glenord, but he's saying it's not good enough. So we've been arguing over that.
Okay.
as you do. Yeah, Royal Brackla 2008 and Palo Cortado.
Nice.
Going in the right direction, but it needs another year, I would say.
Yeah, and some of these casks look quite new and quite fresh. Are you getting casks built specifically for you guys and shipped over?
We have done. We source casks in different ways. So we work quite well with Juan Pino.
Yep.
So they do build casks for us and ship them over. But sometimes we just buy them second hand. This one, as you can see, is a bit more knackered. This one's clean and new and shiny. So yeah, we just really do what works at the time.
Cool. And I've noticed you've got some quite unusual stuff down here. There's a cream sherry cask down here as well. Not something you see a huge amount of.
Yes, so this one, we've done a cream sherry Kalila before.
Yeah.
I didn't have it on the shelf very long, unfortunately. Cream sherry seemed to have attracted a certain amount of people. Were very excited about cream sherry because it's not something you see very much, but it did add. I hated writing on the tasting notes creamy because it's so obvious, but it really was really creamy. So hopefully we'll have some more things coming out of that soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to play with it a bit more. I get lost in here sometimes.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? When you've got quite a limited space, you know, the racking's relatively close together and it's, you know, you've got to try and make the most of it, right? Yeah,
because we don't really have a system of where the casks are.
Yeah.
And yeah, Woody does most of the re-racking. So I know, me and him, we discuss what to re-rack into what, and then he does the actual physical re-racking normally. So I know he re-racks things and then he hides it somewhere in the warehouse and I don't know where it's gone. So that's what happens.
He's trying to hide it so you're not seeing them coming in and sampling
That's right,
it.
yeah. Because he knows that I'll guzzle all that Strathyla, because he knows I'm a Strathyla fan.
You've not just got malt whiskies as well, right here? It's got some grains as well.
Yeah, so we've got a nice wee parcel of grain. So I think we bought, I want to say about 25 casks in this parcel. We got 4 of them here today.
Yep.
Because we got them moved here. Yeah, we've got a 1990 canvas here, so it's quite unusual to see canvas.
Yep.
We have this Cameron Bresh 1998. It's very delicious.
Cool.
But it's one of those ones that we always bottle everything at cask strength.
Yep.
So this one takes water very, very well. So without water, it's good, but with water, it just comes so creamy, so sweet, icing sugar.
Yeah, nice.
But we always bottle things at cask strength, so we're a bit like, because it is quite a high ABV, and I just think that the ABV overpowers. So if you water it down a little bit, it tastes a lot better. This one is a 1978 North British.
Yeah.
So this one, I love.
Nice.
I wanted to actually release it for our last release.
Okay.
But I can't remember why we didn't in the end. I think we just got carried away with those ones.
Fair enough.
I think maybe in the next release I would like to put this one out, because I find that summertime is the time for grain, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think, yeah, so that's good. And Cameron Bresh 1995. So
nice.
Would you like to try?
Yes, absolutely. Would I like to try 1978 North British?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So this one, if I'm remembering correctly, has been in sherry for the full time.
Oh wow, okay. Amazing.
This is the thing, until I release things, I don't always remember what they are.
But yeah, I think...
But it's either been re-racked into sherry or it's been in sherry the whole time. I
Yeah.
can't quite remember.
One of my favourite ever grain whiskies was an old Cask bridge that had been, I think, either in sherry for most of the time, but probably refill sherry. And
Yeah.
like similar kind of age to this.
Yeah.
Probably a bit younger.
I do think it's full maturation because it's got like the name of the distillery here, it's got the year, so I think it's maybe it doesn't taste like it's been in since it's nearly 50 years old. So it doesn't taste like it's been in sherry for 50 years. It could be refill though, refill. Refill, yeah.
That's delicious.
It's good, right?
Yeah. There's, like you said, the sherry influence is subtle, maybe even more subtle than the kind of colour suggests. Like,
Yeah.
it's got a lovely golden hue to it that, from a 50-year-old whiskey could be bourbon, could be sherry, right? But you just, it's still kind of obviously a grain whiskey, right? You have that kind of creaminess, the cereal notes. But then, the sherry starts to kind of come through the palate, right?
Yeah, that's why I thought it was sherry, because actually now remembering on the paperwork it just says hogshead. So you would assume, there's a possibility it's that colour from bourbon for 50 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a possibility, but it does taste a little bit sherry to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I think it is a sherry, but it doesn't say it on the paperwork.
These are quite unusual.
Oh yeah, these, I don't know why they're like racked up like that, but they're empty just now. So these, as Woodrows are quite well known for their blood tubs. So these ones, because they're so small and we only read them for like a year, we can reuse and reuse and reuse.
Great.
I think the most recent thing we had in here was the Crofton Ghee, so Peated Loch Lomond.
Yep.
Before that was also Inchfad, so Peated Loch Lomond.
Yep.
And then before that we had Kalila.
Nice.
So we have lots to play with, but we have quite a few of these. So with the Kalila, as I mentioned before, we had it as a kit and they were all separately maturated.
Yes.
But for the Crofton Ghee and the Inchfad, they were vetted back together again. It gave this really like complex, because we've got 8 different blood tubs.
Yep.
And they're American oak, European oak, Oloroso, Pedro Jimenez, sherry from the Montilla region, and different combinations of all of that. So you get a big burst of flavour in your mouth when those are all fatted back together again. Because they're only 32 litre casks.
Yeah, it's
tiny.
small.
So the wood contact with the spirit is
Very high.
Very high. So it matures very fast, very rapidly. So you do get quite a lot of spices in there. So when we do that, we have to use quite a robust spirit. That's why we've used Inchfad, Kalila, because they can withstand it. If we put in something like a light Speyside in there, it would get devoured by the casks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And have you found now you've used them 3 or 4 times that, the wood influence is still like just as rapid, or is it starting to kind of calm down a little bit?
I don't think it is calming down. I don't know if you've tried our recent Crofton Ghee release.
No, I haven't, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's very punchy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people are loving it though. It sold out before we even released it, so.
Great.
Yeah.
And again, I think, this kind of thing is, you just don't see it from distilleries, right? Like, why the hell would they fill into 32 litre casks?
They're not, no.
And so you're only going to get this kind of thing from an independent bottler. And it's great that, you're experimenting with them, single casks and kits, vatting them back together, different malts inside. Yeah. Fascinating. This has been extremely cool. Thank you so much, Megan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the dram. This is absolutely delicious.
I'm glad you like it.
So I'm guessing this is going to be probably a relatively near kind of forthcoming release if it was nearly bottled for the last one.
Yes, I just need to convince Woody.
All right, we'll go have a whisper in his ear then.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.